So in general, how do you feel like mindset has played a role in your ability to achieve the success and like making sure that you have a tight, mindset to be able to stay focused on achieving all the things you've been able to achieve?
Sure. So there's two things. Number one, I got laid off from corporate America when I was 34. So that idea of certainty and security, it wasn't there. So the really great things in life are on the other side of certainty, which is uncertainty, also known as entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
So I got very comfortable with uncertainty for probably the last 10 years or so. And the more you learn, the different people you're around, that uncertainty becomes more and more comfortable and you grow a little bit more. So with the mindset piece of it, if someone tells me I can't, I'm going to prove them wrong. If it's something that I want to do. Also, if there's people who have limiting beliefs or they're having moments where it's negative, I shut it down. I don't even let it in my mind space. And I either get off the phone or say, I don't believe that. I don't want to hear that belief. I don't agree. I don't even want you to say that out loud or have that enter my mind. So I'm very careful about where my headspace is at. I don't want to be around people who aren't cheerleaders, who aren't hype people. I want to be around people who see me as I am. And I take constructive criticism if I know it's coming from a good place.
Right.
So I'm careful about who I listen to.
Right.
And the people who truly see my gifts and want to see me succeed, I bounce ideas off of them because I trust their opinion. So
Sure.
You can't trust everyone's opinion.
Yep. Now, some people can be motivated at doing something to be able to kind of rebel against somebody not believing in you or doubting you.
Mm-hmm.
But others may be motivated by something else. And I think about your own self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when something inside your head, a voice in your head, does start sort of feeding you a narrative that could lead you down a path of feeling uncertain and like maybe you're not ready for this, and often that shows up for some of us when we're new at something, when our identity has been challenged. I think about you moving from corporate or a steady job to now entrepreneurship. I'm sure at least I went through it.
Mm-hmm.
When I switched. I had an identity crisis. I'm like, I'm no longer this fancy title that everybody needs, that I can put out fires and I can walk into any room and everyone sees me as this. Now it's like, who am I? What am I worth? So I tied my achievement to my self-worth. I don't know if you went through that. And
Sure did.
how did you overcome the self-talk of like, because I'm not this, then I'm not that. Like, but then like, how do you reframe that in your world?
I went through that when I left Lincoln Financial, my corporate job, because I had a very good job at a very high, I would say, I had a very good job at a high level financial institution that had the naming rights to the Eagle Stadium.
Wow.
I mean, we took clients there. I felt very important. So when I left and I went into fitness was my identity, my fitness performance. And that didn't help because people just thought I was a trainer. So
Right.
Here I had this high level job and now people just think I'm only good for my looks or my physical accomplishment. So to be honest, I went and talked to somebody about it and got things figured out and what was my real purpose in life. And I found after doing a lot of internal self-development that my mission in life was to just believe in someone when they didn't believe in themselves. So like I could be that one person for someone to be like, you can do this. Obviously I'd have to see the raw talent there and be behind them, because oftentimes the people closest to us might say things like, do you have the business acumen to start your own business?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can never do what I did. You know, they're threatened by that, or it's their ego, or they think they're helping you. They think they're protecting you.
Sure.
And those are the people closest to you. They're supposed to support you.
Right.
And oftentimes those people aren't the best people to go to. So some of the people in our community, as well as Phil, I've gone to.
Yep.
And what I say to Phil is, if this isn't something that I should be pursuing, I just need you to shortcut the time period and just tell me. So I would say with my business growth with him over the last year and a half, I'm like, I'm not getting any younger. I need you to just tell me how it is, because I need to get better quicker. So
Sure.
getting better quicker was me putting my ego aside, getting over my feelings, being open to feedback, not being defensive, and just being like, all right, what do I need to do? I'm not great at running QuickBooks. I need to hire a bookkeeper. Like
Right.
I can't do all the things in my business, and being extremely humble and vulnerable with yourself about what you're good at, what you're not. You have to be ready and willing to take that. And that's, I would say, how I had all the growth is I was like, all right, lay it on me. Where are my gaping holes. Like I didn't get an opportunity because I didn't have a YouTube channel. Guess what's a YouTube channel now?
Oh, yeah. It sounds like you also looked for guidance where there was qualified people with authority and with the experience that have been in your shoes and gone through a similar journey. And you listen to those voices because that's a more productive way for you to be able to build a path rather than just like accepting anyone else's random opinion and letting that be the narrative of what your identity is or what it should be.
Yes. And have they done it for other people? It's one thing to do. It's one thing when you have a mentor and they can do it for themselves. Have they helped other people grow and you've been able to see it?
Sure.
That is a very small but very big missing piece.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're looking to go from here to here, it's one thing to be like, oh, well, just do this. But if you can give me practical, applicable actions to take, like visibility, credibility, authenticity, and availability, sure. I spent the last year and a half working on that. And, you know, it was said to me like, oh, I see your Instagram's different. I see your marketing's different. Wow, I see this. And they're watching it. So I knew that was something I needed to work on to be able to charge bigger fees, show up at a different level, have the visual that I've been here before. I've done this at a high level. I can do this for you as well. That was huge. That was actually probably business changing for me. And I never knew about visibility, authenticity, availability, credibility until 2 years ago.
Sticking on mindset again for a moment, when I think about your self-talk as you are becoming the Andrea that you are now from the Andrea that you were when you were just starting, what are some things that you became aware of inside of your internal conversations that you needed to have changed, that you knew that you were saying these things to yourself and it wasn't helping you? And then by becoming aware of it, you were like, I need to swap this with different language.
When I thought about how I talk to myself, this actually happened at dinner after certification with our friend Nicole and a friend of hers. We were all eating dinner. And I said, sometimes I just want to shake myself. And one of her friends said to me, she goes, well, would you do that to anybody else? I said, well, never. Well, then why would you be that mean to yourself? Like, I just want to shake myself sometimes. Like, Andrea, come on. You're better than this. You can do better. And I'm so hard on myself.
Right.
However, I would never speak to someone else who is growing through who they wanted to be. I would never be like that to them. I'd be kind. I'd be loving. Like, why would I be like that to myself? So I started to have a lot more grace for myself and surround myself in a community where I had that grace. I don't need more accountability to hit numbers. I'm like a motor, Energizer Bunny. It doesn't stop.
Yep.
I need someone to, when I did mess up, it was like, all right, that's okay. Here's how we're going to fix it or do better next time. That also has a lot to do with my business growth. So that's one piece of it. And the other piece of it is even in the songs that I sing, there's a song by Jelly Roll. And he's like, I'm a lost cause. Don't waste your time with me. Even saying those words out loud, and I found myself, this sounds so corny, singing this the other day. I'm like, I'm not a lost cause, and you're never wasting your time with me. So even, it's like, not only what am I thinking, it's what am I saying out loud? And Nicole and I call it wild beaver moments. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole anymore. I just stop myself from doing that because it's not healthy. And your subconscious is listening to everything that you're saying.
Yep. We have a lot of voices in our head, and I think the one that takes over the most is the judge. I've been reading a book. It's called Positive Intelligence, and talks about these like 10 voices that appear in our head. And some of them are more dominant than others, but the master voice is the judge, is the one that judges self, that judges other, and judges the environment. Just try to justify what's happening during a stressful situation, whether like high stakes, you're either feeling fear, doubt, uncertainty. The judge comes in and it's like, oh, I'm such a piece of shit.
I'm going to get you a gavel.
Or they're such a piece of crap or whatever. Yeah, right? Just give me a gavel. Just going to give you the, what is it called when they call it the guilty, not guilty? The
judgment?
The conviction, isn't it? Or
judgment?
Sure.
Judgment. Sentencing.
The sentence, right? Guilty. So that's the main one. But there are other little voices that exist. One is called the hyperachiever, which is the one that assigns their value to how much they're achieving. So if they're not achieving, they feel like a piece of crap. There's one called the people pleaser. Where everybody knows that one, where they say yes to too many things, but then they end up, what do you call it? Like feeling remorse towards the other person because I gave more and they didn't give any, they didn't reciprocate. So now they feel like angry towards that other person, but that was them who did it in the first place. Or they don't know how to say no or how to set boundaries. And so there's all these voices. There's a stickler, which is the one that like wants to nitpick everything, the analytical one. But where I'm going with this is like there are all these little voices in our heads, and I wanted to share my experiences that often the self-talk that many of us may go through when we're on this journey is doing the key words that to be aware of is should. Should has judgment, like I should do that more, or you should. The second one is rather than saying can't, I can't do that, I don't see myself doing that, or the never, always, the
Absolutes.
absolutes. Like I think those are the things that stop us from, it creates the limits for us. So I think if we can remove that or do the simple swap, like instead of I could never do that, is like I can't do that yet. Right? So replace it with that. So I think powerful self-love language and compassion, like you were saying, like giving yourself grace, being kind to yourself. And I love your example of like, if you were to do that to yourself, but take yourself out of that picture and frame it as, would you say that to a friend?
Never.
Then why would you say it to yourself? Like, and I'm not saying that yourself, Andrea, is like us who are dealing with these mindset challenges. And I think sometimes we just need to put things in different frames so that we can like learn just to pause and just be kind to ourselves when we're going through this, because at the end of the day, we have to live with ourselves, you know, and we have to be our biggest fans and our biggest cheerleaders. But often becoming too much of a critic could be self-damaging. And so I just love everything that you've done and the work in your experience when you're helping others that have struggled. What have been the most common challenges that they've had to overcome from a mindset standpoint?
They don't think they're enough. They might have the raw skill set. They literally start questioning, do I have it? I can't do that. Or
is that an imposter syndrome thing? Maybe
that is an imposter syndrome thing. And before a year or two ago, I never knew what imposter syndrome was. So I'm not going to ever say that I had it. Like to me, I don't see limits. So if you said you need to go do this, I'd be like, yeah, I'll go figure it out. Not even, and it could be impossible, but if I don't know that's impossible, I'm not going to do it. So
what did you define it as when you were going through it?
When I was going through what people coin as imposter syndrome, just anxiety. I'm just really nervous, and I've never done this before, and it's the first time.
Gotcha.
But I never thought I'm not enough. It was more like I've never done this. This is the first time I'm doing it, and it's nerve-wracking.
Got it.
Versus, why did they pick me? Why am I here? You know, so
interesting.
So it's like, of course, we're all going to be nervous the first time we're doing something, or even maybe the 10th time we're doing something. But why are we going to coin it imposter syndrome? I just don't even like the words.
Gotcha.
Not that I didn't mean to make you upset with that one. It just
to your point about like being nervous and anxious and like your heart beating really fast when you're faced with something new for the first time, right? What's interesting is that like that's the same, and I think you and I have both learned this, that like that's the same effect when you're also excited for something. Like your physiological effect is different. The only difference between one and the other, one has a positive frame on it and one has a negative frame on it.
And we get the choice of the frame.
Right. It's like we get to choose, you know, do we want to be excited about this or do we want to be like looking at the catastrophe, potential catastrophe on it? So I want to go back to it because I like the word enough, because enough could be used from a positive frame or it could be from a negative frame. If you're looking at self-affirmations, you could say, I am enough. This is enough. Or if you're looking at a negative frame, you could say, I'm not enough. You know, what if I'm not enough? So how do you help someone, you know, navigate through that?
I would say if I'm working with someone and they're not walking into their power, I start asking them questions of what they have done successful and things that they are proud of, so they can get that momentum. Like, oh, I have done hard things before. I have been here. It's just a different arena. So if I can go and squat 315 pounds and deadlift 325 in front of a room full of people, or stand on a stage in a swimsuit, I can go and teach a sales seminar in front of a group of a few hundred people. It's the same thing. One, I'm presenting the work that I did over the last few years on my physique. The other one, I'm presenting my work with salespeople and its words. Just a different type of presentation. But I've done it before, just in a different arena. So where have they done what they're looking to do in a place there where they feel really confident and comfortable? And let them know it's the same situation. We're just going to get there, and I'm going to help you and support you get there with the skill set and what you need to perform.
Yeah. Something you shared with me earlier is when someone wants to step into something that could feel hard, could feel overwhelming, could feel like a lot, is how can you help them build like scaffolding or baby steps towards that? Could they practice a version of that in safe environments? And you shared your experience and when you wanted to share something with a group of peers, which was intimidating for you. You actually went out to someone that you trusted and you practiced that several times, but that gave you the confidence to then show up and feel like you could deliver that. So I thought that was great. Would you add anything to that as a method or additional best
Sure.
practice?
So if I would be practicing for a future event with low risk, high reward, low risk meaning friends who I feel safe with, I think it's important to know when I mean safe, it's they're going to be honest with me. I trust their opinion and they are going to be careful with my emotions. So they're going to give me feedback in a way that I can take it and apply it, like tactical ways to get better. Hey, this is where you kind of lost me. This is maybe not the best example, or I'm not sure about this. So it's going to a place where I trust their feedback, that they're going to take into account my emotions. So that way, when I do show up in a larger audience, I can deliver at a high level because I know that person cares about seeing me succeed at a high level. That's what I would add to that.
That's awesome. Talk about a little bit about this concept of hiding in plain sight. What does that mean to you? And
Sure.
For those who may feel that way too.
So I was reading a book called Worthy, and in the introduction of the book, it was talking about hiding in plain sight. And I thought to myself, oh my God, that's me. And what that line meant to me was people see a strong personality, maybe a bull in a china shop, a girl from blue collar town, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, coming in guns a-blazing. They see that side of me, but because that's what I choose to show them. On the other side is someone who's very sensitive, very vulnerable, who people maybe think that they can speak freely to, and I'm sensitive to what they say and I take it in, but I may not have had the words in the past to communicate how I was feeling. So I feel like a lot of the times people just see this version of me, but the versions that led to the version of me today are the ones that made me who I am today. And hiding in plain sight is people feel like they can be really honest and direct with me and maybe a little brash and lacking a little tact because that's how I appear confident, when really underneath it, I'm very sensitive and what you say matters to me. And hiding in plain sight is you see this external vibe that I have, but I'm really like a little girl with like feelings inside. I don't know. So it really, really resonated with me when I read that, because it's not only, hey, that's me hiding in plain sight. There are so many other people hiding in plain sight, except when they hide in plain sight. Like I see beyond what they're trying to hide because I am that person inside too. So same can recognize same. So when someone's hurting or they have a certain emotion or they're not sure, I literally feel it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you got this. You got this. I got you. I've been there. Come on, let's go. Let's do it together. We can do it. So I think one of my strengths is they see the outside hiding in plain sight, but I'm that same person inside hiding. And I'm encouraging other people to come out, and I'll support them, and it's safe here. Right. Just like people like Trisha and Nicole and Phil, who are like, don't worry, I got you. You got this. You can do this. Lee, who's in the UK, like, you got this. So I think it's important to have those other people who, when you're hiding, they see through it. Yeah. And they encourage you to go along anyway.
Yeah. They see your potential and they see that you're capable and they believe and they've seen it before. And you've got supporters and you've got those who want to see you succeed and that are rooting for you. Speaking of rooting, since we're talking about mindset, someone who's watching this channel might be in a place where mentally their confidence could be shaky. Maybe they're in a journey inside of their entrepreneur or professional life where they have more questions than they have answers. And because of that, they're not sure about certain things. And for those people that are probably watching this, and if you had a message for them where, you know, there's an opportunity for help to build up their mindset more, or to help them get to somewhere that they're not sure about what it is, they're uncertain, what could be a message you can send to them to help them get on the right path?
There's a quote, and I don't even want to say it or butcher it, but whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. I think the difference between successful and unsuccessful people, or people who keep moving forward and those who don't, are people who are just willing to move forward and take action. Yeah. So I would say execute when you're scared. Yeah. Do it anyway. Yeah. and reach out to people who are a few steps ahead of you. I mean, I cold called Phil.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have not picked up. So I'd say surround yourself with a community of people, or where you are going, not where you are, and people who want to support you and not derail you from your dreams because they never hit theirs.
Yeah.
So I would say keep going. Most of the people, 90% of the people, they don't take action. As long as you keep taking action, you're going to get somewhere. It might not be in the time frame that you wanted, but you'll eventually get there if you make the decision that the way you're living today is not okay.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. And you and I talked about like there were places where we were being limited, and there are people who are probably in a place where they're like, I wish I could do all that, but where I am right now, I can't do that. I'm not allowed. I feel limited, like in my current environment. And then something magical came in our conversation where we said something like, if you can't like adapt or change for your environment, then you should
change your environment.
Change your environment. And that takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of guts to do that. But the freedom that you get from doing it, sometimes it's like if your desire to want to, be free is greater than your fear of like something else, then follow that. Follow the desire to, feel free, even though you know that the risks could be great, but a lot of it's in your mind. But changing the environment and finding the right people that will support you, that will root for you, that will give you the guidance and mentorship is going to give you so much more to unlock your potential and the freedom to be creative and do your best. So
I agree with that. What I thought about when you said that is, how bad does the pain have to be before you're ready to change?
Mm-hmm.
How bad do you not want to be in the situation that you're in today before you're ready to change? And you and I can't determine that for other people. They have to determine that for themselves. Like, I am no longer willing to do X, Y, and Z. I know I'm worth more. I know I'm capable of more. And I'm going to find a way to do it. If it's not here, I'll go find the right environment.
Yeah. If you're waking up going, oh, right? Like instead of going, ooh, right? Like then that's the first signal to say that you got to change wherever you are. You got to change something, whether it's a difficult conversation with someone to change the circumstances, or a difficult conversation with yourself to make a really bold and difficult decision to change your situation. But it requires courage. And at the end of it, you come out better because of it, and you come out your best self. So thank you, Andrea.
Of course. There is one more story, if you're open-minded, for me to share.
Of course.
It has to do with the book Worthy.
Go for it.
I was preparing for a presentation, and during my prep, I was a little nervous because it was the first time I was doing a pre-brief call for a presentation. No, it wasn't the first time I was doing a pre-brief call. It was during my earlier days of doing pre-brief calls, and I wanted to make sure I did it at a very high level, and my laptop fell, the dog was barking, nothing was going the way in my favor that day. And afterwards, I knew I forgot to ask a really important key question. And I said, who have you had, out of curiosity, who have you had teach lead generation, lead conversion before me? And the client said, man A, man B, man C. All really big names, all people who I've studied, all people who I thought were like the bee's knees, very accomplished, that I didn't even level up to. And I wrote back, all the kings of real estate. And in one short sentence, the woman wrote back, and now we await you, the queen.
Hell yeah.
And in that moment, everything changed. I might cry. Like, I mean, everything. And I was like, oh my God. Like, this person doesn't even know me, and just literally breathed life into me with that. Like I will never forget that.
Yeah, she gave you the power.
Well, yeah, I had imposter syndrome. I was like, oh my God, can I even level up? Even though I wouldn't have been asked to be in that position to support those people and be in front of that client if I wasn't capable. And you talk about borrowing someone else's belief. I mean, that would talk about a catalyst for me believing myself, going to the next level. That was hands down a monumental moment for me. And that person doesn't, I mean, maybe she'll know it someday. She doesn't even know. Like,
beautiful.
Blown away by it. My mom even gave me a mug that says I'm the queen, which is great.
Well, Queen Andrea, this is a wonderful conclusion to our conversation
yes.
About mindset. And I'm excited for those who are going to watch this to learn, what are some ways for them to level up. So
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for
It's been a
chatting
pleasure
with
too.
me.
And I'd like to tell the folks, I want you to think about places in your world where you can breathe life into other people, because words matter. They're not neutral. They're not Switzerland. So where can you use your words to breathe that life as someone breathed it into me? That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.